This is Ms. Webster explaining the target practice. Green, again, the color is on the corner. And then the set is at the very bottom corner of that. So I am going to start by writing my name. And then the color that's on here, so green. And then set 1. Okay. Here is section A. So for section A, I am going to multiply whole numbers by fractions. So section A, multiply whole numbers by fractions. So Jay had 6 foot of rope, used 2/3 of it. So I want to know how much rope was used. Okay, so 6 foot, and then times 2/3. So 6 foot, and then I use set. So I can split this. Let's just say this is give me, so yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Should have moved that over. So 1 foot, 2 foot, 3 foot, 4 foot, 5 foot, 6 foot. And if I had split this into thirds, so that would be 1 section, 2 section, 3 sections, right? So 2 of those, so the whole thing right here is 6 foot. Do we get that? And then 2 of these sections, 1, 2 of the 2/3 feet is used. Okay? So how many feet were used? Okay? The math piece to this is, again, I could have done 6, turn that whole number into a fraction, which would be 6/1. I just put the whole number over a 1, and then multiply that by 2/3. 6 times 2 equals, and I multiply just the top by the top, the bottom by the bottom. 6 times 2 is 12. 1 times 3 is 3. I get 12 out of 3. Or how many times will 3 go into 12? It equals 4. 4 foot was used. The same thing I got here. 4 feet was used. Okay, so that gives me section A. Flip that open. I'm going to go to section B. Flip this open. Section B says that I am going to measure and calculation conversions. So section B, measurement and conversions. So I gained, I weighed 12 pounds. I gained 1.5 pounds, and then I lost 4 pounds. So I'm going to do a lot of things going on. So I start with 12 pounds. Okay. So I'm going to start with 12 pounds. I gained, and gain means to add, 1.5. Remember, when I add, I must line up the decimals. So right here, I'm going to add that decimal and a 0. I gained 1.5. So now how much do I weigh? LB stands for pounds. 0 plus 5 is 5. Bring down my decimal. 2 plus 1 is 3. And then 1. I weigh 13.5 pounds. But then I lost 4 pounds. Well, to lose means I'm going to subtract. And I have 4. I have to line up my decimal. The 4 is not going to go here. It's going to go right here. So 4.0. Okay? That 4, that decimal's at the back of the 4. And then I lost it, so I'm subtracting. 5 minus 0 is 5. Bring down my decimal. I can't take 4 away from 3, so I borrow. This becomes 0. This becomes 13. So then I'm left with 9. So I weigh 9.5 pounds. Obviously, this is not true. Okay, I don't weigh 9.5 pounds, but my puppy might, right? If my puppy started and weighed 12 pounds, then gained 1.5 pounds, then it weighed 13.5, then it lost 4 pounds, and now my puppy weighs 9.5 pounds. Okay, Miss Webster does not weigh that. That's not realistic. All right, so I did some converting. Now I'm going to go to section C and D. C and D gives me just a number. So C, I am going to talk about prime and composites, prime numbers and composite numbers. Okay, prime numbers can be divided evenly only by 1 in itself. So prime numbers are only divided evenly by 1 and itself. Okay. Composite numbers can be divided evenly that's a B, divided evenly by more than 2 numbers. So they can be divided by numbers other than, sorry, I didn't see, you couldn't see that. So prime numbers are only divided by evenly by 1 and their self, whatever the number is. And then composite means they can be divided evenly by more than 2 numbers, by more than just 1 in their self. So our number for C is 10. So 10 can be divided by 10. It equals 1. 10 can be divided by 1. That equals 10. But can 10 be divided by any other numbers? Well, I happen to know that 10 can be divided by 5. That equals 2. 10 can be divided by 2, and that would equal 5. So because it's more than 2 numbers, 10 equals a composite number. Okay? 10 is a composite number. So then I'm going to go over to section D. And D tells me I'm going to find the factors. Find the factors of the numbers, of this number. So 10. So the way that I'm going to show you to find factors is I'm going to do 1 times 10 is 10. 2 times 5 is 10. So my factors of 10, so I'm going to make the little rainbow. It was 1 times 10, 2 times 5. Well, is 3 times 4? No, because 3 times 4 is 12. So the factors of 10 is 1, 2, 5, and 10. Those are your factors. Okay, so I'm done with section D. I'm going to flip over to section E and F. Gives me this information right here. So E tells me I'm going to find the gross pay. So gross. And then section F, I'm going to find the net income. Okay, so gross is what I make before they take out taxes. okay? So if you look at this, I worked 12 hours, I get paid $8 an hour. These down here, these tax and insurance, these they take out of my paycheck. But first I need to find out what my gross is, which is just your hours worked times how much you get paid. So I'm going to come over here to gross, and I'm going to write down worked 12 hours, and my rate of pay is $8 per hour. So to find out how much I got paid, I'm simply just going to multiply that. So 12 times $8 an hour. So I'm going to put my $8 an hour times 12. This is what Ms. Webster was talking about, or we'll talk about, that you don't line up your decimals when you multiply. We're going to count our decimals later. So my decimal for 12 hours we know would be there. I don't worry about when I multiply, I don't line up decimals. 2 times 0 is 0. 2 times 0 is 0. 2 times 8 is 16. Move over. 1 times 0 is 0. 1 times 0 is 0. 1 times 8 is 8. I'm then going to add 0, 0, 6, 9. And then I'm going to place my decimal by counting 1, 2. There's none here because it's not behind any numbers. So 1, 2. So I got paid $96. Okay. So my gross income is $96. Then to find my net income, I'm going to take that $96 that I made, and I have to subtract the taxes. So I can either add up all the tax and then subtract, or I can subtract them one at a time. I probably want to add up my tax. So this was my gross. My tax total, well, I'm going to add them up. 23 cents. When I add, I do line up decimals. $5.95 and $1.40. So I'm going to add up all my tax. So that's 3 plus 5 is 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Carry the 1, 5, 6, 7. So they're going to take out $7.58 out of my paycheck. So now I've got to take my gross $96 and subtract $7.58. When I add or subtract decimals, I line them up. I've got to borrow, that becomes 5, 9, 10, gives me 2, gives me 4, bring down my decimal. I can't take 7 from 5, so I'll borrow. This is 8, gives me 15, so 7, 8. So I'm only actually going to get paid $88.42 is my net income. This is how much I'm going to get. Okay? So I'm done with E and F. I'm going to go to G section of the green, set 1. So it gives me all this data. If you can see it. So yeah, I can get all the numbers in there. Height and weight. These are the basketball team. Height 58 inches, and then they weigh 120. When they're 60 inches, a guy 60 inches, he weighs 138. A guy that's 64 inches weighs 149, and so on. So for G, I'm going to make a scatter plot. Okay. So to do this, I'm going to make ordered pairs. What I need to understand here is I can make a T-chart too. Height and weight. Here the height was 58 and 120 was the weight. When the height was 60, that guy was 138. When the guy was 64 inches tall, he weighed 149. I'm just getting all my data down so that it's easier to make my ordered pairs. 69, 182, 73 gives me 168. Oh. 74 gives me 179, and the 74 gives me 182. Okay, so that's my data, and these become my ordered pairs. right there. One is X, one is the Y, okay? So I want the height to be my x-axis. So if I'm going to make a coordinate plane here, I'm not going to, yes, this is going to be 0, 0 right here where it comes together. But I am not going to start at 1. I don't have any number close to 1. I'm probably going to go 50, 60, 70, 80, or 50, 55, 60, 65, 70, 75, okay? So you need to make sure that you're making your coordinate planes with the numbers that, and this means I'm not starting off at 0, okay? I'm skipping through, okay? Same thing here. I'm going to, am I going to go by tens? Well, no, my data is pretty, so I would have started broken, and I would have started at, let's just say, I could go 120, 130, 140, 150, 160, 170. We got to keep going. 180, 190. Okay, so this is my x-axis. This is my y. So my x is 58, so about right here. My y would go to 120. So I plotted about right there. Scatter plot means it's not going to make a straight line. It's kind of going to be everywhere. So then when it's 60, it's 138. So about right here. When I'm 64, I'm going to 149. When I'm 69, so close to 70, I'm going to 182, way up here. So I'm just plotting these points, 73 and 168. 74 and 179, 74 and 182. Okay, so just scatter plot, scattered everywhere. So this became my X, this became my Y, and then I scatter plotted those. Okay, and H, I'm going to interpret the scatter plot. So change the tallest height to feet. That's what they want me to do for H. So interpret. The scatter plot. So if I go back, my tallest height, here's my data again. So it was 58, 60, 64, 69, 73, 74, 74. My tallest height would have been what? 74. And it was in inches. And they want me to convert it to feet. Okay? If you go back to the scatter plot, this was my height. Okay? So it is which one went out the furthest this way, which was about 74, so it would have been right there. Okay, so 74 so 74 inches equals how, 74 inches equals how many feet? Well, I happen to know that there are 12 inches equals 1 foot. Okay, so I need to actually divide the 74 inches divided by 12 to figure out how many feet that is. So 74 divided by 12. 12 goes in, doesn't go into 7, but it goes into 74 how many times? Okay, so let's try 6. 6 times 2 gives me 12, carry the 1. 6 times 1 is 6, plus 1 is 7. So that's going to give me what? 6 feet. and leave me 2 inches, 6 feet and 2 inches. So the question was, change the tallest height to feet. He is 6 foot tall and 2 inches. 6'2". Okay, that would finish all of my green section. And so I would be done with that, and I would turn in my booklet with all my sections done. Very good.